The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Get rhythmic.
If it's too late to worry and you're too blue to cry, then get ready for Dr. Lori Roth. She's a PhD, black belt, host, singer, songwriter, mom, gun owner, survivor, and a red-blooded American through and through. From 3,000 feet up in the mountains of Washington, it's the Annie Oakley of the airwaves. Ready or not, here she comes, Dr. Lori Roth.
Barack Hussein Obama, to many, is a hero. He's the first black president. He's hope and change, as Obama was trying to indoctrinate us all the first time and the second time. But who is he really? Is he a usurper? Is he a natural-born citizen? Does anybody care? One of the leaders in this battle who speaks his mind, and you can read his work at cdrkerchner.wordpress.com. That's Charles Kerchner. Charles, welcome aboard. Tell people your rank in military experience.
I'm a retired naval commander, full naval commander, total of 33 years of service, a couple of years active and the rest in the reserves.
Well, you're amazing. You have been a leader in this battle. I've talked with several people, and I've liked to identify myself in that battle from the beginning, trying to expose who Barack Hussein Obama is. Talk to the people from a naval commander's perspective, retired. What do you see in the facts of who Barack Hussein Obama is and is not? What are the facts so far as we know them, and how is the House and the Senate responding?
Well, as a commissioned officer in the military, I took a solemn oath to support and defend the Constitution, and at the end of that, so help me God, and there's nothing in that oath about obeying the orders of the President or anything else other than to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. The military officers, according to the founders and framers, would be the last line of defense to protect the Constitution from eventually maybe a usurper president in the future. And I'm doing my best to stand up to support and live up to my oath, to support and defend the Constitution. Obama is not constitutionally eligible to be the president and commander-in-chief of our military. And I'm particularly annoyed with that last power he de facto has as commander-in-chief of our military, because he's not eligible. He was born of a foreign national. His father was never an immigrant. No president in the history of our country ever had a father who was not an immigrant to this country. His father is a complete foreign national. He was here on a short stay to go to college. He hated the United States. He was a Marxist. And he was kicked out of Harvard for womanizing. He went back to Kenya, where he died. He never wanted to be a U.S. citizen, never was, never even an immigrant, a complete foreign national. His son, Barack Hussein Obama II, if that's his real name, his records still haven't fully come out, but let's say that he is who he says he is as far as his name. He was born a British subject. And from his father, and he's not a natural-born citizen. Natural-born citizen from natural law is a person born in the country of two citizen parents, a person born with sole allegiance and unity of citizenship at birth. And John Jay, who eventually became the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, asked General George Washington at the Constitutional Convention to put the natural-born citizen clause in there as a strong check against foreign influence. And I have a copy of that letter, and George Washington agreed with it. Others were suggesting just a born citizen, but John Jay suggested a natural-born citizen, and the word natural means it has a defining definition.
Let's talk more about that.
Natural law.
Let's talk more about that on the other side with retired Commander Charles Kerchner, telling us a little bit of truth here. Listen up, folks. Don't you go. Markets and the economy are falling apart here and throughout the world. How do you invest and protect your money right with a climate like this? Well, gold provides a peace of mind in this deteriorating economic and social world. Discount Gold and Silver Trading starts with great prices, the right ethics, and real service. They also handle precious metal IRAs and offer you a balanced approach. Coins that provide asset protection, profit potential, and privacy where paper assets continue to lose value. There are no bad coins, only bad dealers. And Discount Gold and Silver Trading has brought truth and honesty to the precious metal industry. Established in 1995, covering all gold, silver, platinum, and palladium needs. No hard pressure sales here. Discount Gold and Silver educates you so you can make real and informed decisions. 1-800-375-4188. 1-800-375-4188 or visit their website, dgscoins.com. That's dgscoins.com.
Recently, the U.S. Navy delivered tons of food to hungry people halfway around the world.
But you could help someone in your own community simply by donating a can of soup.
Last week, a Navy doctor saved the life of a total stranger.
Just like you could, by giving a pint of blood.
Right now, a Navy captain is providing guidance to 5,000 young men and women at sea.
While there's at least one young person in your neighborhood who could use your guidance.
Next month, a team of Navy Seabees will change a child's life by building a school in an impoverished area.
You could do the same, simply by volunteering once a week to read at a school right down the street.
The men and women of America's Navy do some amazing things to make the world a better place. So can you. Whether it's by donating food or simply giving time, right in your own backyard. Brought to you by America's Navy.
We're talking about retired Commander Charles Kerchner, and you can read his work. We'll find out. We'll let you know his website in just a moment again. But we're talking about what does the Constitution really say, and this president, has he really shown that he was born in Hawaii? As he said, he showed a birth certificate, and it was quickly shown and several times shown as a complete fraud and forgery. And Sheriff Arpaio and Investigator Zullo and Carl Gallups and the people that have researched this have proven that it was a forgery and that he was not indeed born at any hospital that claimed him in Hawaii. So the question is, why did he lie? And is he going to play plausible deniability rubbish? And someone just gave me the birth certificate. I didn't know it was a forgery, but it is a forgery. Commander Kerchner, why would he show the nation a known forgery that was so easy to expose?
I thought about that, and the only thing I can come to in my mind to make sense is that somebody made a mistake. They uploaded the raw file, the raw PDF file, instead of the flattened one. And, you know, since they uploaded it, hundreds of thousands of people grabbed it within the first hour, and they couldn't, once they found out that there was a problem with it, they couldn't change it. They were stuck with it. And the mainstream media is behind them. And both political parties have got the cone of silence on, so they're rolling the dice and rolling with it. But those birth documents, the short form that came out in June of 2008 was a forgery, and the long form is a forgery too. The long form is an even worse forgery, in that anybody can take it apart. Layers, clipping masks, fonts that don't match. Objects that you can move about and that were imported into the document and rotated 90 degrees. I mean, any amateur with Adobe Illustrator can take that apart in minutes and you can see it's a fraud. So Obama's not constitutionally eligible given the life narrative that he was proffered, but now with the forged documents you begin to wonder who he is, and
yeah.
he's probably an illegal alien when it comes down to it, because he probably was adopted and became an Indonesian citizen and returned to the United States under false pretenses as an Indonesian citizen, went to school and college as an Indonesian citizen, and all of a sudden he wants to run for president. Now he's claims he's an American citizen and a natural-born one, de facto by implication, because he's ran for office. And we're in the middle of a constitutional crisis, a disaster of the making of both parties, because now you've got all kinds of non-natural-born citizens seeking the office.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, you've got Rubio and so many that whose parents weren't quite here, or they weren't quite here. Who was the latest? What was it?
Ted Cruz. But
Cruz,
if you're going to play
in
politics on this
Canada
and not constitutional law, at least Ted Cruz's parents became, they were citizens, and the father became a citizen. Obama's father never even was an immigrant to this country and hated this country and went back to Kenya. He was a foreign national, never an immigrant or a citizen of this country.
Yeah.
Rubio, same way. His parents became citizens eventually, but the law is the law. It's what you are. You can't change your birth status, and I like Ted Cruz's politics, but he's not a natural-born citizen. I wish he would stand up and say so and take on Obama and help us out of this mess.
What does the Constitution actually say, and is the Constitution a rock or a living document, as Bill Clinton had often wished it was, that it can flow like Jell-O? It talks about natural-born citizen, not citizen. What does it really say that you have to be in order to run for president here?
Well, it's three simple qualifications. You have to be a natural. Now, this is after the founding generation was gone, because the founding generation were the original citizens, and they put a grandfather clause in there that for the founding generation, you just had to be a citizen. Because natural-born citizens are the children of citizens, so you couldn't have any original natural-born citizens. So they wanted this in as a strong check, because the president would be the commander-in-chief of the military, and they were afraid that a disloyal, divided loyalty person would get in the future. So they put this in the Constitution, which reads, no person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of adoption of this Constitution. Now, you notice they differentiate between a natural-born citizen and a citizen. You could be the president if you were a citizen then, but in the future you had to be a natural-born citizen. And it goes on to say, shall be eligible to the office of president. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained the age of 35 and been 14 years a resident within the United States. Now, you can be cute about it, and you can even wonder if he's proved he's 35 years of age, because he hasn't produced a real birth certificate yet. But we can see by the looks of him that he's 35. But he certainly is not a natural-born citizen, even with the false narrative he's tried to proffer on us and the false documents. He's not a natural-born citizen because his father never wanted to be a citizen, was not an immigrant, disliked the United States, and that's it. Obama is the living personification of the Founding Fathers' fears.
Where do we go from here? It was proven by several, including Sheriff Arpaio and his investigative team, that the birth certificate he showed the nation was a complete forgery. Now, he can play the lawyer game, false, deniability. Well, I didn't know that. I was handed it, and I just assumed it.
Well, he's in trouble anyway, Dr. Roth, because he sanctioned the use of that image on his campaign fundraising, on coffee cups, T-shirts. He has a legal nexus with every state in this country for use of that forged document to raise money. So many, wire fraud, mail fraud. If he doesn't go to jail, a whole lot of other people are in his campaign.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it. And then he told people in print, in his material, and so did his publishers, and the ambassador of Kenya, and his step-grandmother, yes, and his sister, and his publisher.
And his lover, Reggie Love.
Yeah. I mean, they all said, including Obama in his own printed words and publisher, for up until he was running for president, that he was born in Kenya. So magically, they go on the holodeck of the old Star Trek set, and he wasn't magically born there. He was born in Hawaii, but of course no one's claimed him there. You would think a president of the United States, they'd put a plaque on a dadgum wall in Hawaii, or at least admit it. No one who has been checked out by Zulo and Sheriff Arpaio and Dr. Jerry Corsi and all the people that have gone there to thoroughly and deeply investigate this have ever found anyone that has said he was born there, which is a total lie. And, of course, the birth certificate was proven a forgery. All the proof pointing at Kenya. Is it your view he was born there?
I don't really know where he was born. I just believe he wasn't born in Hawaii, that his registration there was falsified by the grandparents to get their newborn grandson U.S. citizenship, a coveted prize for anyone. Hawaii is nothing more than a legal paperwork, porous border entry into the United States and gain citizenship via paper instead of just like in Mexico, you sneak across the border. In Hawaii, you would just create false paper there by lying on a simple affidavit that you were born at home the child was born at home with no witnesses, and they would issue a birth certificate because it lacks laws, and you were instantly a U.S. citizen. It's interesting that Sheriff Arpaio, the deputy, the commander of this Cocaine posse was out there, and the records, the August 4th, 1961, his alleged birthday. I always speculated that was the date he returned to Hawaii with his mother brought him back, and that he was born maybe a month before. Say he was born in Kenya or maybe Canada. I think she went away to give birth and give up the child, but she changed her mind, brought it back. The grandmother had to get citizenship, falsified the birth at home story. And the week that she would have come in there, and August 4th is missing in the National Archives. The things you fill out when you're coming back from a foreign country, customs forms, they microfilmed them all, and every roll is still there except the week that Obama's alleged birth date is in. Isn't that interesting? Everything seems to just magically disappear for this guy, or it's sealed.
What do you think is behind this? Does he have planners and people behind him? Islam, the New World Order, or is this his egomaniac desire to be a big dog as the President of the United States? I mean, it just seems like it was more organized in the scam. Oh, absolutely. And this is a cabal of people, organizations that hate America and want to bring down our way of life, our Constitution, and in particular our military. If they can destroy our economy and get us to downsize our military, that's what they want. I mean, you've got a combination of the communists, Marxists, the radical Islamists, moneyed interests worldwide that want to see us brought down a peg. And, even Obama in his book, Dreams from My Father, and the movie that covered that, they resent the United States, and Obama grew up the same way. They want to bring us down a peg, and neo-colonialism and all that. You know what I'm talking about, Dr. Roth? That movie 2000, the guy from India did the movie. He got into that, how the father hated the United States and wanted to bring it down. He hated the West. And Obama, he believes the same thing. He thinks this country should be downsized. Yeah. Well, he does, and so did his father. And in his own words, I mean, if you read Obama's own books, and I have gone through them, he reveals himself to be an absolute racist, absolute America hater, and he is an imperialist, just like his father was, who believes we should feel guilty for our achievement. Our achievement was obtained as the result of persecuting other people. We made people poor by our achievement, so therefore we have to redistribute all of our wealth and bring us down. Isn't that about it? That's right, but he's allied with other forces that just want to bring America down because they just want to destroy this country. That's the Communist Party, the international communists. You got all kinds of forces here that are what my enemy's enemy is my friend kind of stuff going on, and they're all allied to bring down the United States, and they use the environmental forces, environmental issues. They're using the alternative lifestyle issues
to bringing all these people together, all want to change the culture of our country and destroy our Constitution, destroy our constitutional republic, and just have a pure democracy, which, if you read the Federalist Papers, our founders and framers did not want a pure democracy.
Where do you see this investigation going? I know Sheriff Arpaio and Zullo and Carl Gallups have approached when they went to CPAC, Stockman and a few others to get an investigation. They know there's an investigation they say is going on about his credentials, and they revealed this to people at CPAC.
I was at CPAC 2 years ago with a group of people, and we approached and presented papers to Mark Levin, former Attorney General Ed Reese, Mrs. Shafley, the noted conservative of the Eagles Forum, I believe she's involved with, several other people. Yeah, I don't know what they did with it. They said they were going to look at it and get back to us. They never did. They must have thrown it in the wastebasket. I just hope these people that Mike Zulu met at CPAC follow through. I strongly back what Mike Zulu, Detective Zulu, was doing, because it may be a situation where the political forces of wanting the first black president not to get removed from office are so strong that they'll never go to the constitutional issue, but instead maybe like what's Al Capone got charged with tax evasion instead of murder. Maybe the only way to get this brought out is to forge documents, and no matter. You can argue the legal issues of constitutionality and what natural-born citizen means. I believe the originalism argument, but certainly the forged documents are clear as a bell. This man is a fraud. He's perpetrated the greatest forgery in the history of the world on his nation, for sure.
We're going to sneak a break. Can you please give out your websites very quickly?
Yes, protectourliberty.org, protectourliberty.org, and cdrkerchner.wordpress.com is the blog.
We'll do that in just a moment again.
forphysics.com. It is the ultimate exploring and shopping experience. Finally, a site where beauty and mystery meet perfectly. No more wondering about what to get for that person who has absolutely everything. At forphysics.com, you will find everything from light crystals, self-powered all-purpose radios, Aquatine sundials, plasma balls, to lab equipment, educational resources, and much more. Prepare to spend a very, very long time at forphysics.com. At this amazing site, the mystery of science translates beautifully into all kinds of resources, gifts, and unique treasures that will really give you a whole lot of something to talk about. Get nerdy with it and show all your friends, family, and coworkers that science really is more fun. Display that light crystal or plasma ball while serenading your visitors on your self-powered radio. That's forphysics.com. Be there or be nowhere.
The Roth Show needs your donations to keep going. Thanks to a longtime supporter, we can now double what you donate instantly. Every donation will be doubled. It is simple. Just go to the PayPal button at therothshow.com right now and post a donation. PayPal accepts most credit cards, and with your help in July and August, the show can stabilize and move forward in exciting ways. For 13 years, I've shown up here on air, struggling to pay my show bills and representing real news and issues. I've published hundreds and hundreds of articles making my views and your views known. I back these up each day on air when most others run for cover. My small team and I are dedicated to you and to bring excellence and bringing you the truth. No one owns my backside. Help us continue by giving us a donation, which can be doubled. This will make all the difference. Keep your eye on the ball, pray real prayers, and stand your ground and do what's right, whether it's popular or not. Yoda in Star Wars says it best. There's no try, only do. So thank you for your donations. Let's double everything. We're talking with retired Commander Charles Kerchner about the issues facing our country. It really is a constitutional crisis, and our media has been in a coma ever since the first election of Barack Hussein Obama. We knew exactly who he was, and people were starstruck and dumbstruck, and our Constitution and our freedoms have been paying ever since. it is clear he showed the nation a forgery of a birth certificate. Several document examiners and officials and sheriffs have revealed this. We know this is true, not just Mad Magazine gossip. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, it's true. That's a federal crime. That's an offense. And I find that amazing that he's still in office even with that. Commander Kerchner, I like saying that because you really are a commander, whether you're retired or not. You are a patriot and an officer. Charles, when you look at his service the last 5 years, do you see him as a person that should be impeached, and why?
Well, I think he should be removed from office. Some legal scholars argue you can't impeach an illegal president. You just got to remove him under the, 20... I forget the amendment number.
So he needs to be removed officially by Congress, even if they
Well, like they
struggle
did in
with
Honduras.
impeachment.
They had a Supreme Court decision and a congressional decision in Honduras that the president down there was acting out extra-constitutional. He wouldn't leave voluntarily after being told to leave by the Supreme Court and by the Congress. And the Congress and Supreme Court appealed to the military to throw him out, and that's what they did. So if Obama wants to go out that way, so be it. But we got to get the cowardly Congress and the political court system to do something. I mean, not only do we have a forged birth certificate, he has a forged draft registration card. I mean, he didn't register for the draft when he was 18 because he was putting himself forward in his country as a foreign national, an Indonesian citizen. That draft card is almost as bad a forgery as the birth certificate. It's the only draft card I ever seen with a 2-digit year on it.
Well, there's people who say he forged Social Security numbers too, and used several
no, he
of them.
didn't forge it. He stole one because if you're not a legal resident of this country with a real birth certificate and a forged draft registration card, how do you get a job? You got to steal a Social Security number. So it fits the MO.
So we don't have any proof of who he is. He paid millions of dollars to hide his college records, his birth records, his Social Security records, his passport records, every record that any president ever that we've had has never done that I can recall, hidden everything about himself. I mean, every college record, everything. Why would you do that unless you're hiding that you were a foreign student here on foreign student money, which I think that's what we would find, and Indonesian citizenship. There's a whole lot of stuff to hide. Why would you even go to the trouble of showing a forgery of a birth certificate to the nation if you didn't have something major to hide? I mean, logically, you have to ask that.
Why would you surrender your law license voluntarily? Who does that? I mean, I'm a registered professional engineer, and I'm retired. I keep paying to keep my license as active retired. I worked all my life to get my professional engineering license. Well, big part of my adult life. Am I not? Same with a lawyer. You spend a lot of time and money. Well, you don't voluntarily surrender your law license when you're being investigated unless you're hiding something major.
What do you think from looking at the facts as a commander? What do you think is going on here? What do you think is likely the solution of who he is and who's behind him?
Well, we covered that in an earlier segment. I think the Communist Party of the USA, Bill Ayers, another Students for Democratic Society radical named Michael Klonsky, and they both married SDSers. They lived in his neighborhood. They're a big part of this. They want. You saw what Bill Ayers did. He blew up bombs and he trampled the American flag. He couldn't do it in the streets. He's doing what Saul Alinsky said: dig into the system, burrow in, and then overthrow it in 50 years from within. That's what they're doing. You got a network of a couple 100,000 former SDSers that are everywhere. They're the heads of our media, heads of our institutions, court systems. There's some of them in Congress. They're educational systems, non-profits. They control all the big foundation money. We're in trouble in this country. We're being infiltrated. We're infiltrated from within, and they're using their power to overthrow the Constitution. And without the Constitution, that's the glue that holds this nation of immigrants together. Without that Constitution, we're going to turn into a third world society fighting with one class and ethnic group against the other, possibly. That's what they're trying to do. Obama's trying to divide this country and tear it apart. Cloud pyramid strategy, Saul Alinsky rules for radicals.
Do you get the impression that the House, I don't know about the Senate, but will we gain ground, in your view, in the 2014 elections with conservatives because of the NSA scandal, the IRS scandal, the Benghazi scandal? It's just one stinking thing after another of him violating our Constitution.
There's so many of them, you forgot a big one in there that everybody keeps forgetting already, and that's what they count on, Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Remember that one? People died.
Huge. Yep, along with Benghazi.
He gets a scandal of the day, and people forget the three before that.
Yeah. Well, it's never ceases to amaze me. When you look at all that was signed, the Obamacare from hell that we're trying to get the House inspired to defund before it officially releases itself in January. I mean, I notice he has paused it for a year, the required mandate with businesses. Isn't it interesting that he's paused it? He's stalled it for a year at a time. I don't think they know what in the Sam Hill they're doing anyway to run it, so I think they're stalling. Wow.
It was designed to fail. It was designed to destroy the country. Now, that law was unconstitutional for several reasons, but Chief Justice Roberts got intimidated or blackmailed or something, and he rewrote that fine, declared it a tax. Well, now, if you study the Constitution, all tax bills have to start in the House. Obamacare started in the Senate. So when Chief Justice Roberts said it was the fine became a tax, the bill should have been declared unconstitutional. The law should have been declared unconstitutional because it did not originate in the House. But our Supreme Court, they're in the tank for this process too. They're all afraid to take on Obama because somebody will say racist, or there will be they are being told down there will be a black backlash. I have more faith in black Americans than that.
So do I.
They are constitutional believers just like I am. I served with men that took the same oath. Sure, a few hotheads are going to try to do something, but we can handle them. We cannot handle this country if we have no Constitution. There'll be another civil war if the Constitution totally fails.
100% right. And it is being challenged. Obama hates the Constitution. He thinks, like Bill Clinton, it's a living document. It needs to be changed and reflects the times we're in. And I think he hates Congress and the House, or the House and the Senate, too, because have you ever heard of a president with nearly 40 czars to bypass Congress? I mean, they're anti-American communists-like czars, too.
Yeah, their cabinet officials don't really do their job. It's the czar, the unconfirmed czar behind the scene that does everything. And when you mentioned about the passport records that are missing, you remember that detective that was found shot dead, who had knowledge of what went on in the scrubbing of the passport records of Obama? Remember the guy, the people that were fired for doing that worked for a company that was headed by a man named Brennan, who was involved actively in Obama's campaign, and now he's the head of the CIA?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Brennan?
I believe so.
Brennan was just appointed to some major position.
Well,
that's the guy that was involved, had the company that was involved with the scrubbing of the passport records for Obama.
Well,
now what's he up to?
Everything has been hidden about him. I mean, down to the grades and college records, and you have to know that is not normal. That is not normal for any president. I don't recall Bush doing that, Bush Sr., Clinton doing that, Reagan didn't do that. So how is it magically that this president is hiding so much that he doesn't have a past? We can't know where he was born. And I think the reason is just simple. It's just common sense, because he wasn't born here. His handlers don't want us to know that. And even his college records here will show that he was a foreign student. And it's a constitutional breach. It's fraud. It's a federal offense. It's a crime. He should be arrested. And not only that, but think of the constitutional emergency and crisis that this has thrown our country into with all the bills that he signed, the Obamacare, sending our troops off to war. It's all fraud. It should be all undone.
Well, even if by chance, somehow, by some miracle, it could be proven that he was born in Hawaii, which I don't believe, he renounced his citizenship when he declared himself to be a foreign national and traveled on a foreign passport and portrayed himself as a citizen of Indonesia as an adult in this country. He gave up his U.S. citizenship when he did that because he was adopted. They say he was adopted in Indonesia at age 6, but I believe he was at age 5 or less when he was adopted. And the reason they say age 6 is because under the Hague Conventions for adoption of very small children, a child who's adopted at age 5 or less automatically is considered under international law to have been born in the country of adoption and not in the country of physical birth. It's a treaty signed by the United States and hundreds of other countries. He would have been considered a natural-born citizen of Indonesia if he was adopted at age 5 or less.
We're talking with Commander Charles Kerchner, and you can read his work at CDR Kerchner, KERCHNER.wordpress.com, and we'll find out more on the other side.
The first time that we saw combat as a unit, it was more surreal than anything.
Retired Staff Sergeant Dan Nevins.
You're under fire, you're getting blown up. There's definitely adrenaline. There was the explosion, and I remember just opening my eyes, and it got both of my legs. I had surgery after surgery, and I was on a lot of pain medicine. What's going to happen next, and how long am I going to be here? The Wounded Warrior Project dropped off a backpack for me, and it had everything in there that I could possibly have needed at that time. Peer visitors, people who have been where I had been before, said, look brother, everything's going to be okay. 3 months from now, 4 months from now, a year from now, you'll be fine. That type of thing is an invaluable service. To be honest, I don't know if I would be as well adjusted as I am now if it wasn't for them.
To learn more, call 1-877-832-6997 or visit WoundedWarriorProject.org.
We're talking with Commander Charles Kerchner, retired. Charles, slowly this is a very short segment. Can you please give out your websites where people can read your fine work and your articles?
If you want to read my latest writing, you would go to my blog, which is CDR, that's the abbreviation for Commander, CDR Kerchner, all one word, CDRKerchner.wordpress.com. And then my website, where there's the information there about my lawsuit against Obama and Congress that I took to the Supreme Court back in 2009 and 2010. That's at protectourliberty.org, protectourliberty.org.
Do you think with this administration, with all of the Saul Alinsky tricks he has up his sleeve and the media that seems to be in bed with him, are we going to ever see justice with this president?
I'm not sure. I'm hoping and praying. The problem we have is the media they put him in power and they want to keep him in power. And the second problem is the Congress is cowardly, and the DHS, since Bush started it, has been giving briefings in secret to the congressmen that, you cannot let this get any traction whereby Obama could be removed because there'll be a black backlash. And, there could be riots and 100 cities burned, and
they want to play the race card all the way up and all the way down, don't they? Unbelievable. We'll be right back.
They think they're protecting us from ourselves.
Yeah, right. Kerchner, in our last segment together, should anything come out and verify who Barack Hussein Obama is? I mean, we have a constitutional problem, don't we?
Well, we sure do, because he can be blackmailed with all this uncertainty, like the Muslim Brotherhood already threatened to blackmail.
But yeah. I mean, we have a constitutional emergency here. Well, how would we constitutionally begin to repair the mess? Would we just repeal everything he signed?
Wow. It would probably be a matter of great constitutional deliberations on that. The first-hand answer would be, yeah, everything's invalid. His signature meant nothing on those. But some of the things could be so disruptive to the world or to the country and to the people that maybe they'd have to let it stand or quickly reapprove it and have the new president sign it. But Obamacare would definitely be gone. I mean, nobody wants to say that. I don't know. Every day that this fraud is in office, the crisis grows worse.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. And does it not seem that he is making a mockery of our reputation worldwide? I mean, how he stood from the beginning with Morsi, who was kicked out and violating the Egyptian constitution, and Hosni Mubarak.
Bowed to a Saudi king?
Oh, yeah. I mean, everywhere you look. I mean, he's standing with the Syrian rebels, who it's on the wrong side of that battle. He was siding with Morsi on the wrong side of that battle. Forget our 30-year ally, Hosni Mubarak, who's now been acquitted. Everywhere you look, he sided with the former
he sided
president.
With that de facto, that unconstitutional president down in Honduras.
Oh yeah, Honduras. I mean, yeah, Zelaya. My brain was on hold there. Zelaya, yes, Emmanuel Zelaya was absolutely a criminal and unconstitutional, and the people peacefully removed him properly. And Hillary and Obama were right for Zelaya, demanding his return.
Allied with Ortega and Hugo Chavez, supporting the illegal, unconstitutional president.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and everywhere you look, he has sided with the wrong side, the dictator side. We went into Libya. That was an illegal war. It breached the 1973 War Powers Act. We made sure that Gaddafi was assassinated and he was contained. What was that about? That was crazy.
He's culturally not an American. He's culturally not an African American. The suffering that the black people went through prior to their emancipation and even afterwards, to have the first black president be not drawn from the real ranks of the African American culture is terrible. They put this fraud there to totally. He's ruining race relations in this country. He's making them worse by the month. This is a real, unbelievably despicable event in what he's doing.
Will America recover from Barack Hussein Obama in our final minute?
I think we can, as long as we can hold that Constitution together. As far as, like we talked about, undoing all those laws and recovering, we can do it if we get back to the original Constitution as correctly amended, not ignored and usurped. But if we get back to the Constitution with the proper amendments, we can recover. That's the glue. Without the Constitution, this country will fall apart.
Amen. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on, Commander. You rock.
Thank you.
Enjoy your granddaughters.
God bless America.
Back at you.
This country's up and it's taking it back. We the people.
Sally Field for Wounded Warrior Project.
There are so many things that we take for granted in our lives. But one thing that we should never take for granted are the brave men and women of our volunteered armed forces who daily risk their lives for our freedom. Some of these brave warriors have suffered catastrophic injuries. Some will suffer the effects of traumatic brain injury for the rest of their lives. The Wounded Warrior Project was created to help and support these injured heroes. Regardless of your position on the war, they deserve our help. Please consider the many ways that you can get involved. The Wounded Warrior Project's motto is, "The greatest casualty is being forgotten." Let's continue to help make this generation the most well-received group of injured veterans in our nation's history. We owe it to them. To learn more, call 877-832-6997 or visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.